I'll have to tell you a story about a lecture I went to with him once. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Good Lord. Are you ready? Good morning. No. Good afternoon. It's good to see you all over here in the parish hall. We're going to start our forum with joy. It's so great to have you with us. So if you are here for the forum, you are in the right place. If you would like to have conversation that has nothing to do with the forum, that's also okay. Just go somewhere else so that we can hear what Joy has to say. There's plenty of seats outside and lots of other opportunities for gathering in other spaces. It's so good that you are here to hear what Joy has to say about her wonderful new book with a very colorful cover. And I'm just vamping. Are you ready?
I'm now ready, if you can hear me okay.
Can you all hear Joy?
Am I on the mic?
It's not
Barely.
very loud. Oh, yeah, it's on.
It's live.
It's just not picking you up.
Sorry about that.
Maybe, can you clip it to your necklace?
I
I
tried.
don't know if that'll work.
How's that?
Better?
All right.
Okay. All right. I will hang on to this for Q&A later, but take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aaron, for, the vote of confidence in inviting me to do this, and thank you guys for showing up. And this book, The Cosmic Web, Hope for Our World Through Spirituality and Science. I've been working at this a long time. People ask me how long it took me to write it. It was 7 years, to be honest, because it took me a while to pull together these two sides, the scientist and the contemplative. And the reason I did it, I've even been writing it before that in my life, is that I just see such a picture of love, of connection written throughout the whole universe. And I think it can really help us now. We have, as Aaron mentioned earlier, as we all know, so many things facing on our planet. Our ecology, our social systems, wars, and it weighs heavy. There's a lot going on. And what I see in science and what the mystics have said is that there's hope for us, especially as we learn to attune to this inner light that's been given to us, that's here from the very beginning. And pray from that, not just alone, but together, because our prayer is for the world. So the nature itself, there's this line, there's 2 books written by God, Scripture and nature. And St. Augustine first said that and then was echoed by Newton and others. And the universe is indeed an amazing place. And we see that all the time in so many things we see. We can even see it in a beautiful day, or the way a leaf is made, or looking into each other's face. Like, what a miracle we are. And there's also this beauty that's harder to see with our eyes. And physicists are seeing it now, and we can learn to see it with our hearts. The heart as an actual organ of spiritual perception. And I'll talk a little more about that. So this is kind of a picture of how I see physics is talking about the universe. I'm going to give you some nuggets, just little nuggets of physics without going into, I promise not to show any Feynman diagrams. But, but this is a picture of the universe as I see it. And as you look in these beautiful drops of water on a spider's web after a rain, they're reflecting all the drops around them. And each one is reflecting all the drops around them. And so in the reflection, you also have each jewel around it, each jewel of water, also reflecting the universe. And so there's this intimate interwovenness in the universe. And so everything is very deeply connected. Every point in space, every human being, every being. And in a beautiful way. And so wisdom teachers have told us this for many years. I think a lot of you might have a touch of the mystic within yourselves to even come and be interested in something like this. This is a picture of Jesus praying. This is from Mercy Center in Burlingame, where I, with a team, hold retreats and workshops and that sort of thing. He was always going up into the hills to pray, and he was always telling us about this oneness as well. One of the ways he writes, "On that day, you'll realize that I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. In my Father, you in me, I in you." This beautiful interweaving that seems impossible in one way, but the heart knows. The heart knows and can learn more about this by letting go more and more to trust in this oneness. And Cynthia Bourgeault writes, "When we follow a true wisdom teacher like Jesus, or put on the mind of Christ, as St. Paul told us, we can awaken the faculties inherent in our humanness, that allow us to experience this relational web that we're talking about, and live from this as responsible, awake human beings." So how do we do this, right? What do you see in this picture? Just a face, okay, two faces. What else? A goblet, okay. There's faces and there's a goblet. You might have seen this image before. And what I see about this image is that once we've seen both, we can choose which one to see, right? We can look at the faces, we can look at the goblet. And science, there's a thing in science that works that way too. Scientists can choose. For example, you might have heard that everything, we're both solid in a way, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but we're also have a wave nature. Waves are connected. Waves are fluid. Waves don't really have a beginning and an end. They spread and they connect. They interact in different ways from solid matter, right? So everything is both a solid and a wave. And even in science, the way you approach the experiment affects what you're going to see. So I can set up an experiment and see a wave, which means I'm going to see a pattern that waves make. Or I can set it up a different way, and I'm going to see all these things. They could be photons, electrons, little molecules. They're going to look like particles, like solid stuff. So some people interpret that as saying, well, I'm creating my reality. I'm creating waves or particles. But instead, we could see that we are choosing which aspect of this more broad reality that we're choosing to see. For example, if I wake up crabby and I decide to go for a walk, I might be obsessed with all the things that are in my mind, my worries, my obsessions, and I might not notice what an amazingly beautiful day it is. I might not notice the gift of each leaf, of the people passing by, little dogs, all kinds of things. The attitude I bring to my morning affects what kind of day is going to come back to me. I'm not creating the day. But just as we are not creating this world, but we can participate in it in a way that appreciates its beauty. And Beatrice Brutto, with this quote, tells us that we do have a lens we bring to the world, a lens of expectation. That lens, for for me, might be the lens that says, this is my team and this is not. These are my people, these are not. These people look different from me, so they're not my people. Or there's all kinds of affiliations. Even Aaron was talking about this in his sermon today. We have faces we relate with, personalities. But if we can see that lens, that identification, we have the opportunity to step back to something broader, something that from the heart can actually see more of this web of connection. So reading the quote, awakening, she calls it, is an increasing ability to recognize and transcend the suppositions that frame our basic perceptual field. Or in other words, to be able to look at the filter that heretofore we'd only looked through. So there's a million ways we can see this filter. Like Roy was telling me, he was reading the book and he was affected by a story I told of having a root canal. So it was about 3 years ago, and it was during the pandemic, and I went to see the dentist, and she said, oh gosh, this tooth we've been having a watch on, it's time, honey. And I'm like, oh no. And so she made an appointment with the endodontist for about a half hour later, and I went to the car to wait, which is what you do in a pandemic. You don't go to the office. And I found myself thinking, oh gosh, root canal, I've heard about it. Oh no. And I found myself really, really tense in here and in my body. And I thought, okay, I'm not there yet, right? I'm just here. sitting in my car. Came back to breathing, relaxing, and just being in this moment, seeing the steering wheel. And then it came time to walk into the office, and I'm in the anteroom. And again, like the panic just hits like really strong. Oh my gosh, here I am. And I just started to do a little breathing. I did a little standing yoga, a little stretching, just to come into the present rather than my fear of the future. And so it started to feel different. Then I go into the room where they're going to do the procedure, and I'm sitting in that chair. You know the feeling of those chairs, right? Oh my God. So, and the lights are really bright, and so the panic really starts hitting me. And then I just started to hum a chant from an online meditation that we do every single morning. We have since the beginning of the pandemic and still do. And that one was... And God said, I am made whole by your life. Every soul completes me. And I just started humming that, and the endodontist came in and he looked at me like, what's going on here? And just kept humming it in my heart. And so he and his assistant, very kind, they were such kind, beautiful people. They started doing what they had to do, and they're drilling in there, and like there's this intense vibration, and again, the tension comes up. But again, I just kept letting go back to this trust. Every soul completes me. These are beautiful souls helping me, and helping others. And just there was such a grace in it. I mean, at times it hurt. Root canals do hurt, but it only hurt for that moment and not like for the whole agonizing time of waiting in the car, the waiting room, waiting for them to start. It didn't get all drawn out. And so I'm just saying that the lens that we are whole, every soul completes me, that we're whole from the beginning, makes a huge difference in the way we approach life, and it can occur on so many different levels. And the mystics throughout the ages have often called this being awake. Hafiz is a mystic, and he says an awakened heart is like a sky that pours light. And this comes together in our hearts. Let's say Simeon, the new theologian, in Christianity about 1,000 years ago talked about attention of the heart. And they say the heart comes online when we are more integrated. And what can we integrate? There's a few ways of talking about it in different wisdom traditions, but this one comes out of the Christian Orthodox tradition. It's called three-centered knowing. So we can know with our minds. That's how many is that your favorite? That's our society's favorite for sure. And I'm a scientist. I mean, I know about that. I love to stay in my mind because then I think I can figure everything out. As though even science doesn't work that way. But minds are beautiful at imagining things, building things, very extremely important. But there's also our emotional centers. So when we're willing to feel, even now, just put a hand right here on your heart. Notice what you're feeling. And being willing to bring that in also changes things. When we, an awake emotional center has an intuitive knowing. There are mirror neurons that we have where we can intuit what others are feeling or going through, at least on some level, from bodies, from facial expressions, and that's uniform across human culture, the facial expressions. And there's also the moving center, or the body, of course, our movement, riding a bicycle. It's also involved in learning a new language. This physical center as well. And so we often forget that. We often forget at least two of them. We're usually in one at a time. Maybe we're extremely emotional, or we're just physical, or we're really in our heads. And it can vary from any time to another. But as I said, they come together in the heart. And I'd like to do something with you just to experience your three centers. And you can do it sitting down or standing up. And this is called a body prayer. We pray all the time. But here's the one that happens with your whole body. And then the first movement, we take our right hand and we take our right foot. Here I am. Here I am. Left hand and left foot, as I am. And while you're doing this, feel your feet on the ground. Notice how you might, any emotions you might be having right now. It might be like, what is this? Here I am, as I am, in this world, bringing the right hand around. As it is, bringing the left hand around. Just again, noticing, how does it feel physically, emotionally? And then we put our hands together. Notice the feeling of the hands touching each other. And bow. I bow in awe at the infinite love of the Holy One. Feeling that in your body, your emotions. If you want to do that again, I bow in awe of the infinite love of the Holy One. Next movement, opening up. I open my heart to receive the fruits of the Spirit from the Holy One. Joy, love, forgiveness, kindness, gentleness, self-control, all of them. Just feel how it feels coming through your arms into your heart. If you don't feel anything, that's something also. You're just touching base with that. Flowing through you, into you, abundantly. This universe has abundant energy. We have an abundantly loving God. And then hands bringing them to the chest with my entire being, body, emotions, mind. I take in these fruits of the Spirit, and they nurture me. Feel the nurturing radiating from your heart to every cell in your body, if you can welcome yourself to do that. Feeling the nurturing, accepting it. And I share these fruits of the Spirit, bringing your arms out, sharing it with each other. You don't even necessarily have to look, just you know you're sharing this energy with each other, and you can send it out to your family, your community. You can send it out to any place in the world that you feel needs it right now. We're sharing these fruits of the Spirit abundantly given to us, flowing through us as human beings, offered. And then arms down at your side. I stand whole and complete. If you feel like sharing a word or a phrase of anything you noticed, feel free. Anybody want to say? You don't have to. Okay, we'll wait for questions later. But that's three-centered knowing, a small introduction to it. It's not just all in our heads. When we bring our whole body into it, we have the potential to come together in the heart that really knows this holy place, this mystical connection. And just a brief little nugget of Einstein. He's telling us everything that looks solid to us is really light at the core. And just for me, this echoes this feeling that we are holy within, inside and out. And I also see this in Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Just there's such a give and a take. It's echoing this relationship we were just talking about, where we're receiving and we're offering. As holy beings at the core, we receive the fruits of the Spirit, and we can offer them, and we offer the mercy from this field of mercy that surrounds us. And also see it is in the I am the vine, you're the branches. Just what a beautiful image that is of nurturing and wholeness coming up. You can imagine it coming up through your body and out to your own branches in the world. And if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. And what's fruit meant for? For giving away, right? And yet we're nurtured first. We don't just come up with fruit. A vine needs to be fed, nurtured, watered. And apart from me, you could do nothing. There's just a groundedness, but also a reciprocity in this kind of loving, merciful universe that I'm seeing in this cosmic web. And there's so many ways that we can let go, that we can practice letting go. These are different contemplative paths, and they vary from centering paths of stillness like meditation, or generative like loving kindness or compassion meditation. Their visualization, their creative music and singing, contemplative arts, pilgrimages, activism and working and volunteering. They're relational, like deep listening, like our Stephen ministers do or our spiritual directors do. Their movement, labyrinth, walking meditation, dancing, qigong, aikido, tai chi. Their rituals and cycles. There's just so many ways of expressing this beauty. And of the more we keep letting go of this usual, whatever one center we like to remain in, there's so much to offer through these. There we go. Okay. And coherence. This is one more nugget. I think this is the last nugget of science I'll throw in there. Coherence is when things come together. They're all one thing. And one of my favorite quotes is from Rumi. A good measure of spiritual health is to write down the 3 things you want the most. And if they differ, you're in trouble. Somebody asked me, what in the world does he mean by that? And what do you think? Just for a second, Rest in your own heart. What are the three things you want most? And for me, what I hear is that our intention to love God, to let go to this beautiful cosmic web is primary. And that God tells us to love with all your heart, where it all comes together, with your soul, all your mind, all your strength. Bring everything in, right? These three centers, your entire being into this. And from there, everything else flows out. And love your neighbor as yourself and any other work that you're doing. But when we're fed from these roots, and we learn to let go to them more and more deeply, we have so much more to offer. And the relevance to this train is that this happens in physics too. So when things get really cold, like helium, it becomes less like a single things all in a jar together and more like one thing that's all connected, more like this wave we're talking about. They call it a boson in physics. Light is a boson. So it becomes more like light, and it can flow uphill. That's pretty wild, isn't it? And when superconductors come together, when they reach a certain temperature, all those little electrons in there suddenly become one single sea of electrons. They become more like light. And when they're like that, they're all together. They repel a magnetic field. They can lift an entire train, right? So we get maglev trains. And I traveled from Shanghai to Suzhou in what felt like seconds on one of these, because it's not touching the tracks. Lift an entire train. We can lift an entire train. When we're coherent in our own being, when we're coherent together, which is one thing that we're doing here, when we offer these fruits of the Spirit, it really makes a difference. In this connected universe, we're affecting others, and it's a precious way to express our humanity. So, just one little study they did here. The Dalai Lama did this study in collaboration with scientists from the University of Wisconsin. They had monks who had done many, many hours of meditation sit down with the electrodes on their heads. By the way, they laughed when they said they put the electrodes on their heads. And the scientists said, "Why?" And they said, "Because the practice is in the heart." But there's things that happen, it's all connected. As they're doing this practice of loving kindness from their heart, the brain is also affected. And what they saw, this monk started doing loving kindness meditation, and like a signal went off the chart so strong they thought, you must have moved. Something happened here. He said, "No." And he'd stop doing it, and the signal went down. Did it again, the signal went up. And this is what they saw. So on the left is the control, which is people who were doing meditation for 1 week. And on the right, typical of a brain of a person doing meditation for a very long time, where they practice this kind of letting go, this letting of these fruits of the Spirit come in and through. And you see these poles, huge poles of signal coming out. I would call that a quadrupole transmitter, but basically these are gamma waves within the brain that are becoming synchronous across the entire brain. You notice it's not right-brained, it's not left-brained, it's across the entire brain. Very, very real measurement of the difference it makes to practice this kind of letting go. So we're just encouraged, whatever way you're drawn to find that depth, that deep spark of light within you. Just keep doing it and keep letting go and trusting in God. And they also measured functional MRI of these monks, and they showed so much more empathy for others, like different areas of their brain lit up when they saw images of people in pain or people in joy. They just resonated with it. And so there's this beautiful human potential that I see in this. And the last message that I have it is something that I've said already, is that when we come together in this, it is world changing. And there's a little quote here from the Cosmic Web. The contemplative practices and the science presented here can hopefully open our minds to the sense that we are indeed all interconnected. Your suffering is my suffering, much as Thich Nhat Hanh says there. Your joy is my joy. We are responsible to one another, and to our planet. And the more we learn about opening to the vast, interwoven, luminous field that shines throughout the cosmos, the more we can become a light. Our smallest actions can shine and reverberate and affect powerful change, starting from within, tapping into a great cosmic heart, honoring our ultimate connection. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the Cosmic Web. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Joy. I noticed that there's a box of Cosmic Webs over here on the table.
Before we go to that, can I take questions?
Yes, yeah, yes. I'm just noting that you have them.
Thank you.
So for after, if you want a book, see Joy or her roadie, and about how that works. So Q&A. What questions or feedback, comments you have for Joy? Penelope, I'll come to you with the microphone.
Joy, you asked us to respond to your exercise you had us do,
Yeah.
and I wasn't thinking fast enough, but I love that you grounded us very much. First of all, I am here, as I am, and then and the world is here as it is, and then moved from there. And I thought that was really, really helpful, and I liked that very much. I also appreciate very much what you're doing, the work on the heart, which I think is so critical and wonderful. And it's, some of the traditions, Christian traditions, really emphasize the heart of Jesus and the heart of Mary. And so I really I'm enjoying what you're doing. Look forward to reading more.
Thank you, Penelope. And that heart is in us. He tells us that, right? I am in you, and you are in me. And we can say yes to that. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Other comments, questions? Thomas.
Yeah, my name is Thomas. I can share a little bit. When I was a young adult, I struggled with social anxiety. I actually had to seek treatment, And during the treatment, that the practitioner sent us challenges to do the things that really bothers you. So through that practice, I accidentally came into contact with what I felt was the Holy Spirit, that it taught me to accept my fears instead of rejecting it. It's almost like loving and hugging your a crying baby, not rejecting the crying baby, but to embrace it and calming it. It really helped for me. So, it's just like a different way of dealing with our anxieties. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, Thomas.
What you're talking about sounds so much like welcoming prayer. Contemplative outreach teaches about centering prayer, which is a type of meditation, but the welcoming prayer is like the centering prayer on the go, where we do welcome, here I am, as I am, in this world as it is, noticing our physicality, our emotions. Really, it's about integration, not pushing it away. And for me, there's an alchemy in that, and it's a trust that what we are is whole right now. That we might be having this lens of perception that's affected by anxiety, fear, anger, all these different things, or even joy. but there's also this wholeness that permeates all of it and continues to feed us. And what you're talking about sounds like a deep trust in that you were shown. Thank you for sharing.
Reminds me of, I think it's Annie Dillard in Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, where she writes about the writing process and those voices that are speaking against her doing the writing, and she invites them into the car with her. There's a whole, she is, as Annie Dillard is wont to do, plays this out in a beautiful, alliterative way.
Beautiful.
Other comments, questions?
Yeah, I love your analogy relating it to science. You know, the working together can be world-changing.
Yeah.
And the analogy I wrote down, actually, I thought was great, was electrons.
Yeah.
You know, you get electric field and a static field, raises trains and improves transportation. You know, I thought relating science to working together and spirituality was super. Thank you.
Thanks, Vance. Yeah. We're encouraged to come together, integrating our own being, and then from that integrated being, we can even better come together with others. Yeah, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Joy, you've grounded us and centered us so much that we're just in this space with you. Yes, it's wonderful. You want to say more about how someone might purchase the book?
You can purchase the book in a bunch of ways. There's various online, Barnes & Noble online. You can go to an independent bookstore and ask for it, and they'll order it for you. You can go on Amazon, it's available. There's also some there which for event pricing today, you can also pick up, and I'll be happy to sign them for you, not just today, but anytime.
How much?
The ones today are $20.
$20.
Online.
Cash only?
No, you can Venmo.
Or Venmo? Cash or Venmo? Okay, excellent. All right.
We're in the cosmic web and also
That's
the
right. Right.
World Wide Web.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I invite you to hang around, continue to get some snacks or coffee, chat with Joy, take a look at the book. But thank you so much, Joy. Could we give Joy a big round of applause? Thank you so much.
And thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
And thank you all.
Excellent. All right. Thanks for being here today, y'all.